Hi, my name is Ayala Reyes. I'm a freshman here at Wayne State, and today I will be talking about my final project in the BE 1500 class. I'm in section 002 with Doug Harriman. Our final project focuses on fertility rates around the world from 1960 to 2016, and that encompasses about 57 years worth of data. Fertility rate, the definition of a fertility rate according to Wikipedia is the average number of children that would be born to a woman over her lifetime. This data set includes 263 countries. Some of those aren't actually countries and are labels that include like East Asia and Pacific, so regions of the world. Um, Labels also such as fragile and conflict affected situations or least developed countries, UN classifications. We cannot offer any definitions as to what those actually mean because the data set did not give us any. The user can choose those labels if they wanted to in the program, and then I will show you what exactly that means. But I will just be talking about the countries, specific countries for now. Also, since the data set didn't actually supply some countries with stats, sometimes if there's a table or a line plot, it'll either show up as an NaN or nothing will be plotted in the graph, and that is just because the researchers for some weird reason just did not have any data supplied for certain countries. We posed a few questions as well, and I will be answering those questions throughout the video, um, throughout this video presentation. Um, and I think we should just get right into it. This is our code. It's fertility rates, and right now we don't have anything in our workspace, so I am going to load in for our final project, load code, and I'm going to run this. This only works on PCs, by the way, and that's if the Excel file is already in the MATLAB file. And as you can see, it's split by income, by the country's names, the region, and the years from 1960 to 2016. So for our main body code, I'm just going to run this real quick. And as you can see, it basically tells you what our topic will be. And then it gives the user a menu option asking it which category they want to classify the data. So if they want to just look at specific countries, if they want to look between regions of the world or within that region of the world, the countries within that region, or between income groups or countries within that income group, or if they wanted to exit the program. Let's first do the countries. If I want to look at three countries, as you can see from the command window, all of the countries are listed over here, and it's going to ask you for a country code. And the country codes are going to be on the right-hand column here. I wanted to show you some of them are not countries, things like, as I said earlier, East Asia and Pacific, that is not a country, that is a region. Or this is, again, fragile and conflict affected situations. I don't know exactly what that means, but the user can, again, choose these labels and see how they fit into how they compare to other countries as well. Some of them are self-explanatory though. But let's say I just want to choose Japan. So I'm going to scroll all the way down. I'm going to do the country code, so it has to be in capital letters. I want to do Serbia, SRB, and I want to do South Africa, ZAF. And I want to look at multiple years for this. So it's going to ask the user for a range cell array in a form of a cell array. So let's say I wanted to look at from 1980 to 1995. Usually it's best if the user picks 8 or more years to look at, as trends will be easier to see. I chose to look at 16 years here and press enter, and I want to see that in a line plot, so I just want to see a trend. And as I said earlier, sometimes the certain countries don't have full data sets. So for Serbia, there's only 3 data points in this 15-year range, and they're recorded right here. And for some, they have every single point. So South Africa, it has steady declined over these 15 years, and while Japan has been kind of steady. And then it asks if I want to go back to the main menu, if I want to exit the program. I want to go back. Now we can look at region of the world. We can analyze 2 regions of the world. So if I want to do Middle East and North Africa, so it has to be exactly the exact same syntax as it is shown in this list. So the ends, please pay attention to that or it will not run. And then choose one country from the list. So these are not country codes anymore. We actually have to, the user has to actually type it out. So if I want to look at Bahrain, and let's say I want to look at South Asia, and I want to look at Sri Lanka. And then I want to choose multiple years again, and I want to look at the same, actually, let's pick a different ones. So let's say I want to do from 2000 to 2010, 10 years. And I want to choose a table. So this table will show me minimum, maximum, average, and it tells you that this is extrapolated over 11 years. So these are averages of the averages per se, and then it will tell you what the minimum fertility rate was in that span of years for Bahrain, a country in the Middle East and North Africa region, or for Sri Lanka, the South Asia. And the user can compare regions of the world, or if they chose to compare the same region, they could have as well. Now I want to show you income. So let's say I want to do 3 incomes now. I want to choose a low income country, so the same syntax for region. I want to pick Malawi, and I want to pick a high income group, and I want to pick Poland, and then I want to do a upper middle income group, and I want to pick Montenegro. I can choose to see if for just the 1 year, so that goes specifically into specific fertility rates per year, and I want to choose 1999, and I have the specific fertility rates for each year. So in Malawi, it was about 2. That's a low income country. In Poland, it was a high income country, and in Montenegro, it was an upper middle income country. So it goes in order of what we wanted it to. And those are basically all of the data presentations it could have done. We can exit the program now. And so going down here, I'll explain some of the code behind it. So this is the main body code. It's run by a huge while loop, and that while loop basically it stops when the user presses an exit button out of the main menu, or there's a sub menu down here. And basically it's also run by a huge switch case, the first half of it, by this main menu, and it basically either calls functions. If it's a table, all the tables are in the forms of UDFs, since they actually calculated numbers. The number of inputs change every time. As you can see, there's fewer inputs here than there are here, so there had to be different different versions of the table functions for if the user wanted to choose, let's say, 1 country or 2 countries. For plots and bar graphs, since it doesn't depend on the number of inputs because nothing is actually being calculated, they're called by scripts. And inside those scripts, there are if-else statements, depending on how many countries, again, that the user clarified. And this is basically the same setup as for the other 2. So for regions and for income, it's the same. I'm gonna run down through a list of some of the scripts and functions that we've used. So for how many countries, basically these are just like menu scripts that call other scripts. Um, and their basic functions is just to call other scripts. And this is the same as like how many regions and how many incomes. Um, and then from this script, let's say the user wanted to see one country. It calls this one country script. And then this goes to here, and basically this indexes the row number of the country that they specified. Since these all have matching row numbers, we used we've basically this whole script is basically we've indexed row numbers and we've matched them and we've compiled them into singular matrices or cell arrays, and we've extracted data through indexed row numbers, or if when the user specified time, we index the column numbers instead. And this is the code for all of that. And the two countries, it's just the repeat of this code as the same as this code. There's just different variables to it. The country min and max, again, it was a function. All the tables are UDFs, and this finds the min and max of the data. This finds the average, and it displays into a table. And that's the same for the region, and it's the same for the income. Just again with more variables because there's two countries instead of one country. For the trend plots, they're all basically the same. They're run by if-else statements, as I said earlier. If the country count is 1, then it only plots 1, one line. If there's 2, it plots 2, and so on. The bar graph, again, run by an if-else statement, and depending on the number of countries that the user wanted. And there was a lot of conversions from like cell array to matrices, because sometimes the plot, like the input variables to like a plot or a bar function couldn't handle matrices value, array values, and sometimes we had to interchange a lot of these since these came into arrays, and sometimes I had to switch them back and forth. So there's a lot of those code. What else? And then this is the range of years again, and then there's also a rates 2, and there's a rates 1 and there's a rates 2. So this rates 1 is basically again classifies the column number. It indexes column numbers so that it grabs all of the data for all 264 countries for the specified range, for the specified year that it says, and it stores that column number and it uses it for another thing. Or it uses it later on to extract data. And then for rates 2, this is for the range. So a lot of if it goes from string to num, so string to num, because I had to add and subtract things to find like the range, like 2000, 2016. That's an 11-year range. That's not actually 6 years, or what did I say, 2000, 2010, or 2000, 2016. That's not 16 years. It's you have to minus it and you have to add 1 to find the range. Or for here, I just found the length of the actual vector from here, from the start year to the end year. And again, it basically just extracts the data from these variables and puts and compiles them into a single variable or a couple variables. And I think that's mostly my code. Okay, thank you so much, you guys.